Hello everybody, and thank you for joining us on this Gradcracker webinar with McLaren. I would first like to introduce the Gradcracker members of the panel. So my name's Carla, a director at Gradcracker, and I have worked with McLaren for the last couple of years. So McLaren advertise their placements and graduate opportunities on Gradcracker, which are all now live. And Jessica is back with me. Yay!
Yay! I've had a couple of weeks off.
I've missed you loads.
Oh, I've missed you too. I haven't had a couple of weeks off. A lot of the audience should know that I have been frantically telling everyone about this session today and telling everyone about Gradcracker. So I wish I had had a couple of weeks off. But no, yes, hello everyone. My name is Jess and I am marketing director here at Gradcracker. And hopefully some of you will be aware of who I am and what I do, but my role is to make sure you're all aware of Gradcracker and the amazing opportunities that you can find on the site.
Perfect. Brilliant introduction. Thank you, my love. So today during the webinar, our aim is to find out a little bit more about McLaren. So we're speaking about who they are, what they do, and also what opportunities you, our STEM students, can apply for this year on Gradcracker. So starting with our contact, Karen, who is a talent acquisition manager, will have an introduction to the business and also their opportunities. We will then speak to placement student Molly and graduates Ben and Georgina, and Mitchell, who has recently rolled off the graduate programme and is currently live in Italy, and has a lovely story to tell about why he's there. So I'm going to stop the webinar. Mitchell, tell us why you're in Italy.
Yeah, so earlier this week I was due to go to Italy for just a couple of days to start with one of our suppliers. So I'm in the body exterior team who handle all the exterior components for current and future development.
Yeah.
We were going there to trial some new parts. It all went well. This was my first trip out as part of the team. But last night, unfortunately, I had to give up my seat for a couple of people on the plane. So then I had to just message the supplier with my tail between my legs to see if I could come back and work an extra couple of days with them. They were only too pleased, and I'm only too pleased to stay in Italy as well. You can see the sun is bright on my face, and the air conditioning is full blast. I hope you can't hear that though.
It is very bright on your face. And Mitchell gave up his seat as well on the plane, so family could stay together. So that's a big for Mitchell. So yeah, thank you.
I was going to say that.
Oh well, I'm going to say that, Mitchell. So there you go. So a good deed of the day. So what we'll do is later on in the webinar, we'll speak to all of the grads and the students about what life is like for them at McLaren. So what projects they've worked on, if they've been involved in any networking groups, and what training and the development they've received so far, and also their future plans. We will then end the webinar to discuss the recruitment process and giving you an idea of how you can be successful. So during this part of the webinar, the students will also give an insight about how they use Gradcracker to apply to McLaren and why they've been so successful during the application process and also during their career so far. Now, if you've attended any of the webinars this season, which you should have, you will know about the new feature that you can submit questions for us to ask the panel during the webinar. And we have had absolutely loads of questions. So thank you very much, everybody, for submitting those. And we've cherry picked, I think we've got about 5 or 6 actually for this webinar, a mixture of students asking about technical questions and hints and tips. So we'll scatter those through the next hour or so. So let's get started. Karen, I'm going to come to you and tell everybody a little bit about who you are and also McLaren.
Thank you. So my name's Karen Brown, and I'm really proud to say for the last 4 years, I've headed up the recruitment team at McLaren Automotive. And over the last couple of years, that has included our early careers schemes. So McLaren Automotive exists to create exhilarating supercars and deliver the most thrilling driving experiences. We're really, really proud of our heritage, and we're all really, really proud of the cars that we produce here in Woking. Innovation really is at the core of everything we do, which is why the early career schemes are so vital and so important to us. So they enable us to bring in new talent to the organisation, to continue to pioneer new technology, push performance, and ensure that we are at the forefront of automotive engineering. But our strive for continuous improvement and excellence goes across the whole organisation. And we'll go through the schemes later, and those schemes go across the breadth of the organisation here. So what is it really like to work here? It's exciting. It is really fast paced. it can be really challenging because we're really demanding of our people, the same as we are of our cars. But I think that's why all of us want to join and stay within the business. You're not going to get bored. There's never a dull moment here. We're not an enormous organisation. We employ about 2,500 people. And I think that's really important to what it's like to work here. So everybody matters, everybody counts. You don't get lost. You're not just a number. And it means that everybody can really help shape the future of the organisation. But being of that size also means that within your teams and within your departments, you really will be surrounded by experts in your field. And also you will have those career opportunities moving forward as you progress through the organisation. If you think of McLaren, you do really think of engineering, but we've got people working across a huge variety of roles. So whether that be manufacturing, procurement, quality, finance, IT, HR, and between our grad and intern schemes, we do cover the vast majority of those areas. All but 2 of our schemes are based in Woking, and that is where the vast majority of our employees are. But 2 of the intern positions are up in our facility in Sheffield.
Perfect. Thank you very much for that introduction, Karen. And we're going to come back to Karen to speak about the opportunities in a little bit more detail, but kind of on a similar thread about McLaren, as an organisation. What we really wanted to do was highlight the new car that has recently been released, which is the W1, as you can see here behind us. And Mitchell, tell us, the audience, a little bit more about W1.
Yeah, of course. Sorry, I'm not well versed in all of the sales figures, but I can say that W1 is the 3rd in our lineage of our new Ultimate series, so it's an upcoming car. It follows the line of the F1 and the P1, which I'm sure you all know.
Yeah.
It features many groundbreaking new technologies. It's got active aero systems. It follows a lot in line with what we do in racing in terms of we borrow a lot of the aerodynamic development, similar sort of aspects there. It's really groundbreaking in all areas. It tries to push the boundaries for all systems. It's got a brand new carbon monocoque, it's a brand new V8 engine as well, and updated hybrid system, all pulling together, I believe, around 1275 PS between the hybrid motor and the V8 itself as well. So traditional 2-seater, but it features a whole new interior as well with a knit interior as well. It's just completely bonded to the carbon tub, which haven't been in many other Ultimate Series cars, especially on track. Is just it's a ridiculous feeling. I think about it most days, being sat in a Senna going around a track with a pro driver. What else is there to say? Yeah, it's basically just clad in carbon, and it's got new door systems, gull-wing door systems. And of course the new design language from the design studio as well, which is the team that I originally came from as well as a graduate.
Yeah. So did you get to work on the W1 then, Mitchell?
I did some work in the W1, in my vehicle development rotation. I worked on the lab cars, which helped to develop the software. So it's basically just an electrical replica of what would W1 be. So no mechanical elements, just purely electrical. Basically used as a bed for the electrical teams to do testing throughout the development of their architecture as well. The architecture is shared for the new electrical architecture they're introducing.
Fantastic. Don't tell me too much because we're going to ask you about that in a little bit more detail later on, but thank you for that introduction. So what we're going to do now is come back to you, Karen, and I know you briefly described some of the opportunities that you've got there. So there's lots and lots of different opportunities, and you mentioned about the different locations as well. Is there anything else that you wanted to go into in any more detail? So just to put some figures on the roles that you've currently got live on Gradcracker. So you've got 18, no you haven't, you've got, that's the total, you've got 11 placements, so those are year-long placements or slash internships with a closing date of the 15th of November, so it isn't long. Make sure you get your applications in, students who are watching, and you've also got 9 graduate opportunities, and obviously each one of these opportunities are open to multiple candidates. So my question for you, Karen, is if you've got any more information, and also if a student can apply to more than one opportunity, or do they really just need to concentrate on the one position?
Absolutely, you can apply to more than one, and we would actively encourage that. Particularly when you're thinking about things like engineering. Also, please do have a look at the corporate quality and the supplier quality schemes, because that might be something you're not enormously familiar with. But if you have a read through and apply for those, the skills and the education and the qualifications are very transferable. Again, things like procurement, you can almost have come from any background to go into procurement. So yes, engineering can help, but absolutely is not essential. I wouldn't suggest applying for all of them, because that will look like you really haven't got a clear idea of what you want to go for. But absolutely, if there are 2 or 3 there, absolutely go for it. I know we had a situation last year where we had a couple of people that literally departments were arguing over, and it was their choice, clearly, where they ended up. So it can be really positive to go through for more than one scheme.
Perfect. Thank you very much for that, Karen. And last question from me for now is, you mentioned the locations. Are the opportunities hybrid, or everybody today's in the office? So do you have to be, or would you like the students to be in the office full time?
We would like students to be in the office full time. We think it's really, really important, from a learning and a development point of view, but also we've been, since we've come back after COVID, really driving collaboration within the organisation. That's not just simply within your team, that's within broader teams, and also between departments. So being in and on site is really, really important. We're not saying there isn't any flexibility, there absolutely is, and some roles within the business are hybrid, but we feel that people are best placed to be on site, and it's such an amazing place to work. It is a really inspirational facility, so generally once people have seen it, you want to be in.
Yeah, absolutely. Perfect. Thank you very much for that, Karen. And like I've just mentioned, don't forget the opportunities are live on Gradcracker. So you need to watch this webinar first and then go and apply to the opportunities after. But for now, we're going to give you loads of hints and tips, so stay with us. And Jess, I'm going to come to you, and we're going to speak to the panel a little bit more.
Find out more. So Molly, I'm going to come to you first, if that's okay, with you being a placement student. Can you tell me a little bit about where you went to university, what you studied, and your current role at McLaren?
Yeah, so I go to the University of Surrey at the moment, which is about 25 minutes away from where I am now. So it's been really nice to just change over pretty effortlessly to come here. I do law, so it's not necessarily the degree you would think to come to McLaren in a procurement role, which I do as procurement. But it really helps. I think coming here and spending the past 2 months here has been completely eye-opening, and a lot more to do with legal than I thought it had. But that doesn't mean you have to do the legal area. That's what I love about procurement so much, is you can kind of pick and choose like where you're interested in. So if you're an engineer and you wanted to express that through procurement, you could, or cost-wise, like finance and economics, things like that. So it's kind of I would say it's probably the best placement to go for, just because of how open it is and how much I can learn from it.
Yeah. So obviously, Molly, for you, for students, people listening, you know, and this is what I say to students all the time, don't just think about the obvious industry. You could have gone and done some work experience, you know, within a law firm. But for you, why McLaren? Why the automotive sector? What was the driver? If you don't mind me asking there.
Yeah, so I absolutely love cars. It's been something I've been interested in since I was young, and coming to university, I became a member of the Formula student team. So got involved in the racing car side of the team, and I expressed a little interest in procurement there. I organised all of the purchasing and suppliers that we used for the Formula student. So I thought maybe to give it a go in an actual company would be it would be really interesting. And I think I've always admired McLaren. I think it's an absolutely amazing company, just from there's the Formula One side, but the beauty of the cars as well is absolutely incredible. So being able to come here and express my interest in cars, and then also apply my interest in the legal side, it's just like a match made in heaven, really.
Absolute win-win. Dream job.
Yeah.
So tell me then, what is it like? Is it as amazing as you could imagine it to be working at McLaren? What have you been up to so far?
It's been better than I could have imagined, really. Within our first week, we had a lake drive, so I got to drive around the lake in an Artura, which was really cool. And then getting to actually have hands-on experience. A lot of that's what put me off law firms, where you would kind of sit back and just watch, whereas here I'm allowed to get involved and I'm allowed to get hands-on with projects. So I've been given that responsibility that makes me feel like I'm actually a part of the team, not just here to watch. And I love being active and love doing things. And because there's so much going on here, you can get involved in anything you ask for. So being able to be hands-on all the time and come into the office and have something different to do each day is better than I could have asked for.
Oh, amazing, Molly. So inspiring. And in terms of, I'm assuming this is going to be yes, it's probably a very silly question asking you this. I'm assuming this experience so far has solidified the thought that you definitely want to stay within the automotive sector in your graduate career once you finish your degree.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'd love to come back to McLaren. I think it's the whole culture around the company is amazing. And like Karen said, coming into work every day, I want to come into work every day. I want to see the MTC. I think it's something you kind of, as a car fan, you kind of dream about growing up. Being able to walk into the MTC and then working there every day is beyond reality, really. So
you must be super proud of yourself.
Yeah. I can't believe this was even an opportunity. I didn't think as a law student I'd be able to get into something like this. So it's crazy how happy I am.
Molly, it's
That's
lovely
great.
and it's so nice to hear your enthusiasm about it, because this is for the audience listening. This could be you this time next year. So you could be, and like Karen said, you could come from any discipline, any STEM discipline, and you can get your applications in. So Molly, I'm going to come back to you because I want to delve a little bit deeper a little bit later on. So thank you so much for that introduction. But Ben, you are next on my list, if that's okay. Similar kind of questions, just to introduce yourself. So where did you go to university? What did you study and why?
Yeah, so my name is Ben Fry. I went to Bath University. I did a master's in mechanical with automotive engineering with a placement year as well. I kind of knew vaguely what I wanted going in. I'm very similar to Molly and a lot of other people I think that are on the webinar. I've liked cars for as long as I can remember, really. And so that course in particular with the placement year, I kind of knew what I wanted to go with. And now I'm in the corporate quality function on the grad scheme here. So working in particular in the vehicle line quality department, which deals with everything that's in production right now, basically. So 750, GTS and Artura.
And so is that as hands-on as you expect it to be on, working physically on the cars from like start to finish, or are you, how does your day-to-day work? Are you kind of hands-on, or are you almost behind a desk working?
I'm behind the desk, but I'm on the production line. So my desk is like, I don't know, 60 feet from where the cars are being built, which is pretty nice. It's a bit funny if you're in a meeting, you're just hearing horns and engines go off all the time. But so it's quite funny. So my day-to-day, I've got one major project that I'm working on at the moment. So when the car's on the production line, they've got various different kinds of inspection stations as you go along. And I'm working on Artura specifically, developing the inspection processes on that line. So there'll be various requirements that come in from the legality side of things. We have to have this sticker showing that the oil goes in here, that kind of thing, or requirements come from engineering. You've got to check that this pipe is routed correctly, all that kind of thing. But you can imagine we've only got a certain amount of time in each of these areas, so it's really important that those inspections that we do are done at the correct time and you're looking for the right things. And they're fairly complicated, these cars. So there's loads of things to check for, but it's a really interesting project. So yeah, I'm really enjoying working on that so far.
Oh, I can imagine. And Ben, have you ever had a customer? Well, how does it work then if you have a customer that wants like a bespoke car? How does that work? Is that in the same kind of line of manufacturing as the others, or do you have to do it separate?
Yeah, good question. It's a bit of both, really. So we have MSO, which is McLaren Special Operations. If you have lots and lots of money, you can go to them and ask for basically anything you want.
Right.
I was there a few weeks ago and saw some crazy things over there. There are a couple of MSO options that you can have put on your car on the line normally, but if you're going for anything super leery, then it will definitely be going straight to MSO.
Right. Okay. And what does that stand for? Sorry.
McLaren Special Operations. Sorry.
Oh, right. Yes, that makes sense. Fantastic. Well, thank you, Ben. I'm looking forward to hear a bit more detail about the projects and the other things that you've been involved in. So thank you for that introduction. Georgina, I'm going to come to you, my love. Hello. Yeah, similar kind of questions. If you could just introduce yourself and tell us what you've been up to so far.
Yeah, of course. So I'm Georgia Mills. So I went to Manchester Metropolitan University and I studied psychology, which leads quite nicely into my role now as people and culture graduate. So I feel quite fortunate, like the other graduates that were on 6-month rotations. So our program is 2 years long, but within that we're sort of on 6-month rotations. Especially in people and culture, because people and culture touches every business area. So in doing those rotations, I'm really getting to know every area of the business throughout McLaren. So as Ben was saying, this morning I was at Motorsport. Yesterday I was at MSO, some McLaren Special Operations. I'm sometimes over with Ben in the production area and, up in Sheffield, things like that. So it's really interesting to kind of get an idea of all the different business areas and all the different roles. In my sort of current role now, so in people and culture HR, we sort of work quite closely with the business imperatives and what the company goals are. So it's really brilliant that we get to roll that out throughout the whole company. So it's a great opportunity for networking, career development in terms of, you are talking to every sort of level and everyone is so approachable. Everyone has got time for you. It's sort of the culture throughout McLaren is that everyone cares and everyone, has time for a 5-minute conversation, whether it's director, exec, things like that. So you really do feel that belonging at every level.
That's really good. It's really nice that you get exposed to those people as well. So you're not siloed within just one team, and that's you working for the foreseeable rotation of that placement. You're really getting to see everyone, see what everyone's doing, and then obviously then you can understand the culture even better. Either you're not then hidden away.
Yeah, so a few of us grads sort of got together in the first week, second week, just sort of discussing how our weeks were going, and it's very early on. We were all sort of saying like how blown away we were that we felt like we were in meetings that we shouldn't be in because everyone is so inclusive, and those conversations, people will stop and have a coffee, see how things are going, but also whoever you ask, people will explain things, even if they are sort of more senior members of staff. But the brilliant thing about McLaren and the grad schemes, the intern schemes, is it's very like hit the ground running. It's very sort of, there's a lot of trust there for graduates and interns. So you're very much trusted to have responsibility. So it's a lot of career opportunities and it's, brilliant development. So I couldn't be happier to be here.
Oh, bless you. And do you know what's a thought actually? I don't know if you've ever thought this, Carla, but speaking to the other automotive companies that we've got on Gradcracker, but I suppose working with an employer like this, you can tell all of you have got that personal passion about the automotive sector. Maybe unlike other industries where, you've fallen into a role that you didn't know that you could do this as a career. But I suppose working in these sectors, working with these employers, you're going into an industry where majority of you already have that natural passion for the sector anyway. So I can imagine that's other reason why people want to talk, and because they're doing something they already love, I can imagine.
Yeah, I've definitely found that. And I think, from this webinar as well, I don't think I've had a webinar before with such smiley faces. Everybody's just so proud of you and what you've achieved so far. And it's just, it's amazing.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Yeah, really, really nice to see.
Georgina, coming back to you then. So you haven't really been on the grad program that long, have you? When did you officially start?
Yeah, so me and Ben are both the same. So we've been here about 6-7 weeks now. So we're still quite fresh, but in that time, I feel like we've already been exposed to so many experiences. So you know, whether it's for me personally, the learning and development team or events, getting involved in those, or whether it's sort of we're doing a lot of work on policies at the moment. And when you look at them, because we are such a global company, we have offices in, you know, America, in Japan, things like that. So it's looking at policies and within those regions and stuff that you would never even think of and imagine before coming here and having that exposure.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, just sounds so interesting. Again, we're going to come back to you a little bit later on to find out a bit more about detail about the projects you've been working on. But Mitchell, we're going to come back to you. Just do a formal introduction to yourself. It's a similar kind of question. So where did you go to university? What do you study? And what you've been up to so far at McLaren?
Yeah, so around 2 years ago, I think it's 2022 in September, I joined McLaren. I joined from just after summer, after graduating from University of Strathclyde in Glasgow. So I haven't seen many Scottish people down in McLaren, unfortunately, but I'm flying the flag. Yeah, I came down there. I studied product design engineering as well. So
yeah, okay.
It's maybe a bit different from traditional mech eng role or automotive engineering role. But just to lead on from what Georgina, Ben, and Molly were saying, there's such variety, and it's so good to see such variety this year in the grad scheme, because I think it's easy, like you're all saying as well, to forget that there's more to engineering than the technical aspect, or just in general. There's so much more to it. So no, it's good to see.
Yeah, really good. And don't worry, Mitchell, I'm definitely helping the cause in terms of pushing the message up north and getting everyone to consider McLaren and all the other employers that are out there. But yes, definitely helping with the message. So tell us a bit about life for you then. So you've just recently rolled off the graduate program. So tell us a bit about your current role and go into a little bit more detail there if you can.
Yeah. So after the 2 years, just as Georgina and Ben have rolled on, I've joined as a project engineer in the body exterior team, specifically in body systems, and working on sealing for now. So originally I was actually hired as a design studio graduate, so not even into the engineering scheme, but as I had a background in both product design and engineering, and the flexibility to sort of change my rotations as well, I was then able to find an area that I was most passionate about, and then really just contact anyone in the team or spend some time in a specific part of the team. And then at that point, if you build those relationships and you know the skills, then you can promote yourself for something like that. Like there's a lot of flexibility, and like we were saying as well, small teams, small company compared to the other industries, other companies in the industry. So there's that flexibility there too.
And did you feel as at the point? Sorry, Mitchell.
No, after you, just try something.
Thank you, love. I was going to say, at the point of you rolling off then, did you feel as though you had the support from others, that you were going into the right department, you kind of had already kind of committed, or was it still kind of right up until last minute you thought, oh, I'm not too sure what I should do? And what was the support there like for you when coming off the program?
There's definitely a lot of planning. So, well, on my end, I think there was a lot of planning for what I wanted to do following the 2 years. So my first year was organized in terms of rotations for the design studio, and I got such a good overview from them. They're a fantastic team. I really love the design aspect, and it's often overlooked, I think, sometimes from engineering. Not overlooked maybe, but I think it should be considered more, and there should be better relationships there. But yeah, it's more just like I found an interest here, and people were willing to support that, which was the best thing.
And I think this is the thing as well, and Cal, I'm sure you can back me up on this, but again, when we speak to graduates that are on these types of training programs, it is about you really discovering and exploring the routes and avenues that are right for you. You know, the employers put so much support into making sure you do make those right decisions, and you know everything about the business to make those decisions to then go and commit. So it's really nice to hear that McLaren has done that for you as well. And Mitchell, just come back to Italy, because, 45 minutes ago, my love, we wasn't sure if you were going to be here. So thank God you are. But you did mention a little bit about why you're in Italy. But in terms of the chance to travel with your role, then, is this going to be something that you're going to get to do more of, or is this a bit of a one-off?
Yeah.
You know, Georgina, you mentioned as well, you know, potential to or working with you know, global either companies or suppliers, customers. So what was it like for you there? Can you see yourself traveling a little bit more now?
Yeah, well, I'm as surprised as you are, to be honest. This was all a bit all over the place, but it's like you can see the cars behind our heads. It's like a feat of engineering, and that's not done individually. That's done with a huge, well integrated supplier base and thousands and thousands of talented people across the globe, specializing in different areas to help bring these innovations to light, and to marry that sort of vision from the design studio or from every department, and marrying that to a technical, real delivered part, and also just to stress the procurement part as well. Everyone will work in procurement at some point, whether it's in the department or around the department or with the team, especially with quality as well. It's all very integral. You're not an interdependent. You're not working siloed on some technical part on any calculations might happen. You're working with teams that supply their skills. So really what you have to do is to communicate as best as possible to make sure that you're encouraging the team that's helping you in a specific aspect, but also in that case you're delivering something much better because you're able to get as much as possible as you can out of something.
Yeah, definitely. It must be lovely from you know, a work perspective to create something that is so beautiful and so amazing, and everyone just goes, just so what I mean, spend your time doing that. It must be, you know, again, from all different disciplines, whether you're an engineer or not, to be involved in it, it's pretty impressive. So Molly, I'm going to come back to you and just tell us a little bit more about the projects and things that you've been involved in so far, if that's okay. You've said that there's a lot that well, all of you have said there's a lot that you've been exposed to already. But yeah, if you can, if there's a particular experience that you've had so far that's just been amazing, please do.
So I kind of try and be on a bit of everything, just because of the nature of how quick things move around. I will be on, and I'm sure this will roll over to the interns and grads next year, but I am on a rotation scheme as well, so I'll be going into 3 different areas of procurement, and I'm currently on the Super Series at the moment, focusing on those cars, working with suppliers, keeping in contact with them, as well as my manager has given me a mentor, which has really helped, and she's pushed me to expand my network quite a lot, which I think is probably one of the most enjoyable bits I find, is trying to meet other people in the business. From my nature, from Formula Student, I really like the engineering side. So she's tried to get me over and speak to the engineering teams, so I can understand that a bit better, because I think it really helps with procurement to understand what's going on to the car, what part of the car it is, because you're the ones trying to get these from the suppliers, and understanding it a lot more can help save time, cost, can make you work a lot better with the suppliers. She's also pushed me over to the legal side because of my law degree at the moment, which I think is really nice. To be able to get involved in the legal side quite heavily is really interesting, with contracts, as well as all the legal additives. They're a really lovely department, and I think, as Georgina said, everyone's just really open to having a chat, open to helping you develop. The best thing you can do is to ask to be put on something, because it's your development and it's what you get out of it. So I think being able to also have that side of the legal with the legal team is really interesting, and being able to have that opportunity is absolutely amazing. So
I can imagine. Can you imagine, Molly, what you're going to be like when you go back to university? Goodness, you'll be like absolutely smashing it. This is why investment's so good. But all this experience now that you're going to gain, and the, you know, the networking, the skills, the soft skills that you got, as well as the technical stuff. It's all absolutely fantastic. It sounds really, really good. So well done. Ben, I'm going to come to you. Similar kind of question in terms of projects or anything that you've been involved in, whether it be training, development, that you might want to talk about that's been pretty special so far. Ben,
Can't hear you.
All right.
Yes.
Okay, sorry, I glitched out there. Right, so yeah, I'm working with the process engineers, looking at inspection processes, but within my department, we also look at warranty. So that's a daily things come up, obviously different things every day. You know, you see some warranty claims come through, you know, has this happened in the past? How much does it cost? How can we, is this something that happened internally? Did we inspect it internally? Is this a supplier problem? You know, there's so much that goes on with warranty, and there's a lot of cross-department work with that as well. So we work a lot with after sales and speaks to the dealership network, you know, asking them to help out with our investigations, material science, all that kind of thing. There's a huge lot of cross-functional working there. Even more so with my position now, I'm on the factory floor, so I spend a lot of time with the operators themselves. So seeing the cars as they're built, getting their side of things, you know, it's all well and good hearing from what the cars are supposed to be like from a design, but getting that on the ground feedback from the guys that are actually building it, and communicating with the manufacturing engineers, and being able to expose myself to all of that, I think, echoing what Molly said, is really, really beneficial. I mean, putting yourself out there and making those connections and saying, well, I'm doing my work now, but if I go and speak to manufacturing engineering, or if I go and spend half an hour with the operator, that'll give me more background. And I think, as again, I'm saying the same thing, but everyone's so open for it, and they're so happy for you to go over and say, look, I'm doing this. I really appreciate if you could help me out. Yeah, I think it's the culture is so brilliant around that kind of thing, and a lot of people are really keen to help you out.
And then in terms of training element then, Ben, have you had any official formal training? Do you get chance to do that if there was something that you didn't feel as though you knew so well and you wanted to know more about?
Yeah, so in terms of there's some general training that I believe that that every grad and intern would have to do regarding, you know, company policy and various things on our internal platform. But for my role in particular, it kind of changed a little bit. So initially I was sat with the vehicle line quality engineers, did some training with them, had their own specific module on the company training site, did some shadowing of them as well, just to get a better understanding of what their processes were, and then kind of got eased into doing some smaller tasks by myself, and then now with the process engineers. So it was, I think it was very good, honestly. The general stuff was good for getting yourself involved with the company as a whole, and trying to get aligned with that mindset. But the specific training and speaking to the operators, speaking to the engineers, and that kind of thing was just jumping right in, really. I think it was very helpful.
Perfect. It's great that they offer that. Again, great chance that you get that support as well, and you feel free that
definitely.
You those questions. Georgina, going to come to you as well with a similar kind of question in terms of training, development, project, anything that you've been involved in so far that has been, again, probably just amazing.
Okay. So at the moment, the company is putting a really big push on learning and development, and learning and development comes within people and culture. So we've been rolling out throughout the entire company learning and development plans. So we want absolutely every member of staff to sort of look at these learning development plans and sort of have one going forward. So I've been involved in the rollout of that. So it could be, like Ben said, in production, where they've only got like a limited amount of time for each zone. Sort of having those conversations and really making the time to have those conversations. You know, whether it's people building the cars, painting the cars, whether it's people in procurement, whether it's people in quality, you know. And this isn't just for grads and interns, which is brilliant. There's so much learning and development and opportunities there, but beyond that as well. So like Mitchell, having graduated, you know, there's still opportunities there to develop further. So that's been a really exciting project that we've sort of really looked at. And I know some of the grads and interns have got really involved in it. And from that, things like mentoring, shadowing, things like that, there's been a lot of opportunities that have came out of those.
Yeah. Yeah, shadowing's always a good one as well. When
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
feel as though you can, listen, watch and learn, kind of those situations are always great to be in.
Mhm.
And Mitchell, is there anything else that you want to add to that?
Oh, there's so much to touch on. Yeah, all aspects mentioned by the other people on the panel. So that's just there's the mentorship. There's
Mhm.
there's everything now on our training platforms. There's the experience of engineers that have been here for, in some cases, like 15 plus years, 20 plus years. There's a variety of people across the company in all roles. Like you're saying, you come from psychology and like so many streams, so many other places you can get skills from. And are you working in your team? Are you working in your function group? Are you working in company wide? Or are you working even beyond your company with suppliers? So it's all relevant, and I think the more you use it, the better it is. It's also, as I'm tripping over my words saying this, it's also about logging what you do as well. I think was a big part for me. So I keep like a skills matrix and trying to understand what skills and how many hours have I put in certain areas, and where am I sort of tending towards, maybe just like subconsciously, where can I be on, and then if I want more specific training, I might go on to a specific certificate, which is also available to me for maybe like a specific area of like maybe you're reviewing drawings, you want to go into GD&T stuff for engineers on the call. And yeah, there's so many aspects, so many avenues, and then at the end of the day, you can't just ask someone and then speak to them as well. They can just offload all of their information and experience as well. It's great.
Yeah. And Mitchell, for you personally, with you more of an engineering background, is there a chance, and would you want to become chartered, and could McLaren support you with that?
Yeah. Chartership is definitely supported in McLaren. I'm not sure of the specific details, but I think you can follow IMechE specifically now. I'm not sure about IEEE. I think it's the electrical version. But yeah, there's people in the business that are chartered. You'll see in their title and their signature maybe. And again, it's up to you then at that point if you want to do the chartership. I don't believe it's sponsored, but it's definitely supported. I'm not sure if Karen can be able to speak on it, but yeah, it's there in the company for sure.
Perfect. Talking about tripping over your words, how many times I've said in the last couple of weeks, Karen at McLaren?
I know, it tends to be not people.
Karen at McLaren. Yeah. It made me smile every time I said it this last few weeks promoting this webinar. But no, thank you, Mitchell, for that. Very, very interesting. I know we're going to come to student questions now, aren't we, Callum?
Yeah. I thought that's where you're going to go when you talk about tripping over words, because me asking technical questions now, this is going to be a laugh.
Come on then, have a laugh.
The least technical person on the call ever, Molly. My first question, my love, is from Emma at Oxford Brookes University. Asks, what CAD software do you use and why?
Yeah, so as far as I'm aware, we use CATIA V5. I think the reason for using CATIA is because it's a lot more advanced than, if I should imagine, Oxford Brookes, you are also on the Formula student team, so you tend to using CAD, SolidWorks type of stuff like that, but it is just a bit more advanced. It's, I think, more complex, runs a lot better. SolidWorks can be quite a pain sometimes and can take quite a long time to work and get up and running. And because of like I said, the fast-paced nature of McLaren, you need to get things up and need to have them properly. So I think that's why CATIA is probably the better version to use. You kind of use it in all aspects. I use it to send it off to suppliers for when we need it as well. So yeah, I think those are the main reasons why.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Molly. And hopefully, Emma, that has answered your question. And the next question we have is from Toby at the University of Nottingham. And Mitchell, I'm going to come to you and ask this question. So, Toby would like to know, in a computer and science-based role, what are the three most important technologies to McLaren do you use on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, so leading on from Ollie's is perfect, because technologies, I would say, that includes the tools that we use as engineers.
Yeah.
So we're using CATIA, CATIA V5. That's open all the time for probably every engineer in McLaren. So it's open as we speak on my desktop with drawings on it. So we use that for specifically for the design aspect, but also the project aspects. You might have drawings on there that are revised, and then to manage all that software, we use stuff called VPN, which I think stands for Virtual Product Management as well. So it's sort of like a node-based tool. So you click on it, it structures and it holds all the data for all the stuff that's made in the CAD, because you can imagine these cars are pretty complicated. So the structure, it's best to have all these things structured in function groups. So each function knows what they're working on, the data that they're responsible for, and then all the management side of things, what revision we're working on, and dates and all that jazz. For other aspects, for development, maybe we use a lot of simulation tools like CFD and FEA as well for doing that sort of revision work, where you might start with a general sort of concept proposal in CAD, and then you build it up with simulation, whether that's physical or virtual based. This is more important for this question, is the virtual based aspect, using those sorts of tools. On the electrical side, maybe we use Python. That's used for a lot of the electrical aspects. And there's a screen of other things that I have listed from the electrical team that I'm not maybe as versed in, and the communication things like CAN and LIN communication in the cars themselves, Simulink, and then programming C as well.
Perfect. Well, I hope, Toby, that's given you a bit of an insight into the technologies that McLaren use and why. And finally, Ben, I'm going to come to you with our last technical question. And this is from Tom at Swansea University. And he asks, how can knowledge of material science improve the corporate quality department?
Yeah, so we have our own materials department within quality that focus on helping us out specifically. And they work all the way across from new model quality to warranty, where I am, and they input in all of those areas. So from my perspective in warranty, I was speaking to them a few weeks ago, doing a root cause analysis in RCA. So we had a few parts from warranty come in, and we were trying to figure out why they'd failed. They'd all failed in the same way at the same place. We were thinking, okay, is this a material issue? Working with them, but also early on, focusing on what materials can we choose in the early price selection stages. If you're designing stuff, you have to make sure we choose the right material early on, and so you can reduce costs, reduce warranty claims, do all that thing really early doors. So informing across the whole development cycle of the car, and within quality specifically.
Fantastic, perfect. Thank you very much for that answer, Ben. And sorry about that. I think our web team just popped up to join us, but they've gone now, so that's good. And I'm going to hand over to Jess, just in case people are asking, who's that there? Jess, I'm going to come back to you, because we're going to briefly speak to the panel about other things that they're up to at McLaren before I come back to Karen and speak about the application process.
Yeah, so this is the fun stuff. So we want to know about the social aspects of working at McLaren. It's all about work-life balance. So what else have you been involved in whilst you've either been on your intern or grad programme? So Molly, I'm going to come to you first, if that's okay.
Yeah, I think at the start of the year, a lot of the interns and grads have tried to meet up with each other, just so that, because we're the people that will get to know the most because of the similarities in age and being at university. So I think trying to get up that social side. Some teams like to go out, have monthly meetings or monthly work dues, things like that. And today we actually had Cars and Coffee on, so it was a Halloween special where people bought their own cars and dressed them up in a Halloween type of thing. And that's just, you can just pop down in your lunch times or when you have a break. So I think that's really nice, because you get that balance even when you're at work. If you need a bit of fresh air, just you can go for a walk outside. I think a lot of people like to go for runs during their lunch times because we've got a massive park around us. So I think it's a really nice like balance even when you're at work as well.
Yeah, no, that's really nice, and that's good that again it is about work-life balance, isn't it? And making sure you give yourself time to get away from your desk and then come back fresh and can come up with some new ideas. So yeah, really good stuff there, Molly. Ben, going to come to you next. Anything that you've experienced so far in the grad program?
Yeah, so well, my department, we're all going into Woking, I think, next week to go and play pool and table tennis and bowling, all that kind of thing. So that should be pretty fun. Quality also
nice.
do a whole of quality social. So I think when was that? Like a few weeks ago, they all went bowling. There was like, I don't know, 30 people or something. So that was pretty good. Meeting people that you won't necessarily see day to day, but are in the same function group. So, you know, if you're interested in development and that kind of thing, making that network and meeting people in a social sense rather than like a work sense, I think there's some great opportunities for that there.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah. And I suppose as well, you know, going, you know, living in the area, working in the area, you know, I can imagine you all live quite close to one another. And so, yeah, I can imagine meeting up on, you know, after work is an easier thing to do as well, which is nice. Georgina, I'm going to come to you next as well. Similar kind of experience. Have you been up to much? Have you been partying since you've joined McLaren?
Yeah, so we work quite closely with events. So there's loads of internal events. So like the W1 was released. So it was a brilliant experience that it was shown internally and everyone got the opportunity to sort of see the car in person and take photos and things like that. So that was really lovely. We are able to give friend and family tours. So that's a really good opportunity with family and friends days.
Yeah.
So, you know, you said about the smiles and we're all very proud to work here. It's quite exciting to bring your family onto site and sort of have a look at all the cars and the boulevards. Also, I mean, recruitment did a great job as we first sort of got accepted, that they created a group chat with all the new grads and interns that were starting. So and giving sort of information of estate agents, things like that, because a lot of us were relocating. So I know a lot of grads live together now and are sort of doing a shared house. So that's a really nice experience to sort of have and to share in these 2 years.
Yeah, that's really good. And I think as well then that transition from university life to, you know, full-time working life is a little bit easier then if you're feeling like, you know, you've got people around you that are going through the experience together. And again, that's really good stuff. And Mitchell, have you got anything to add to that? Again, have you been partying, doing anything fun apart from being stuck in Italy? Hard work.
Stuck in Italy.
Yeah, there's 2 major ones as well at McLaren. The McLaren World Cup that we have. So it's an annual competition where teams are set up to compete in like a football World Cup at the local Woking FC, I guess, just Woking FC Stadium. So you can sign up to that and then submit a team and hopefully not win against your boss, because I don't think they'd be very happy with that. And then there's the Friends and Family Open Day as well in September time usually, which I've volunteered at for the past 3 years now. That's such a good day. It's only gotten better, I think, as well. Like there's so much on. It's also an opportunity to walk down the production center line as well in NPC, which just it never happens, because it's always just so much activity obviously on the line when the cars are getting produced. But yeah, the running club is alive and well as well for lunchtime around the park, which is good.
Did you do that on a lunchtime then, Mitchell?
Yeah, try to fit it in. Yeah, if I can keep up with the other people. Very social company.
I know. Very good stuff. Well, I like it, guys. It sounds like you're working hard and you're playing hard. That's what it's all about. So well done.
It is what it's all about. Perfect. Thank you very much for that, Jess. And what we're going to do now is speak to Karen a little bit more about the application process. So Karen, I've written some notes down as we've been going through the webinar, and there's a couple of questions that I wouldn't mind asking you first, if that's okay, before we move on to the application process. So we mentioned about, obviously, Molly's there doing a placement at McLaren. So if a student enjoys the placement, you enjoy them being there, do they get fast-tracked onto the graduate programmes?
Yes, that is something that we do aim to do and have done historically. Whilst our grad and intern schemes previously have been very, very small, we have been doing that specifically in Sheffield. Interns have come back and then joined us permanently. So absolutely, yes. Unfortunately, that will make the spaces on our grad scheme smaller for people that have got onto an internship. But obviously, if somebody comes in, does a fantastic year with us, really enjoys working with us, and vice versa, then absolutely we would talk to them in the first instance about the schemes we'd got that were relevant for the year that they were graduating in. Absolutely, we would.
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to say absolutely then. Brilliant. And that just gives the students that are watching who are and ahhing about doing a placement internship. This is why you should be doing when Jess's head's going to fall off, because she's not doing it away. But this is why, and Karen's not doing it away as well. This is why you should absolutely do a placement internship. It's really well worth your while. The second question I had, Karen, was, we've spoken to Mitchell, so Mitchell's rolled off the graduate programme. Are graduates guaranteed an opportunity after they've finished the graduate programme?
They're not guaranteed because it will depend what vacancies that we have at the time, the focus within the organisation. But categorically, that is the aim, that once that 2-year fixed term contract is finished, we will be talking to people well in advance of that 2 years coming to the end to have a look at what they wish to do. Not everybody might wish to stay with us or indeed stay within the department that they're in, but those conversations will happen. And absolutely, this is about longevity within the business. This is the reason why we're investing within the grad and intern scheme, so that we've got that pipeline of people coming through. We would love people to stay with us and have their whole career with us.
Yeah, absolutely. Perfect. Thank you very much, Karen. So what we're going to go on to now is talk about the application process. So mentioned right back at the beginning of the webinar about the opportunities that you've currently got on the Gradcracker hub. So you've 11 placements and your 9 graduate opportunities, all with a closing date of the 15th of November. So initially, Karen, if you could just go through the application process and what that looks like when a student clicks apply on the job description on Gradcracker.
Yeah, so we'll ask you to upload a CV. We would ideally look for that to be 1 to 2 pages long. So again, it's useful for us to be able to see the modules that have formed part of your degree course. So that gives us more detail, and also a cover letter. What we think is really important is that you can get across more about you as an individual, where your interests lie, where your passions lie. We want to understand about societies that you're part of, volunteering that you've done before, work that you've done before, so that we can gain a whole picture. There's also 3 questions we ask for relatively short answers on. Again, that's around what's motivating you to apply to work for us. It might be probing you on some more information within your area so that we can see your understanding within that area. Might be about projects that you've led on, etc. So quite straightforward. There's no automatic sifting out of people within the process that we have. Every application is looked at individually by one of the recruitment team, so that we don't have anything that automatically, as I say, knocks you out. So it is really, really important that you take time in terms of those written pieces that we will be able to see through the application.
Yeah. And then the next stages after the application, Karen, what happens then?
So we review everything, and then the next stage would be a Teams interview between half an hour to an hour. So they will take place within the month of January. And then if you're successful at that stage, it would move on to an assessment centre last week in January, and then throughout February, and they will all be held in Woking.
Perfect, lovely. And another question that we've had from the students who were watching is from Connor at Swansea University. So welcome, Connor. Thank you for asking this question. And Connor would like to know, what personality traits is McLaren looking for in its engineers, but we can expand that to STEM students.
Yeah, so there's nothing absolutely specific. So we have a broad range of engineering jobs within McLaren. So, and we have different career pathways. So you might end up on a technical career pathway. So these are the real technical experts. These are our innovators who like to work quite individually and really, really focused on those technical aspects. But then we've got engineers who are more pragmatic and collaborative. and more disciplined. And we need both within the organisation, especially given how technical we are and the innovation that we need to drive within our cars. So it isn't a one size fits all. And again, that goes across the whole of the business. We tend to talk more about attributes rather than personality traits within the organisation. And again, we're looking for things like agility, situational awareness. We want people that take accountability and responsibility for what they're doing, and people that really strive for improvement. So there's some of the key pieces we would want to see come out in your application and throughout the whole process.
Brilliant. And I know yesterday, Cameron, we were having a good chat about hints and tips when a student does apply. Also, we covered the subjects of ChatGPT and AI, but from your point of view, you are one of the people who reviews these applications. It is very, very personal at McLaren. But what hints and tips would you give a student who is going through the application process?
Check everything. I know that sounds really basic, but we see an enormous amount of applications that have the wrong company name in it, for example, and that's going to be an automatic rejection. We appreciate people are applying for lots of different schemes. We absolutely get that, but please double check the name, spelling, grammar. I would ask somebody else to have a look over it with a critical eye. Make sure that you're standing out within your application as far as you can. And if you're an individual that doesn't really like to self-promote, ask somebody else to support you with it, because they may well be able to remind you of things or draw things out that you wouldn't naturally want to put down on paper, but actually could get you through to that all-important interview in the first instance. We appreciate most people will be using AI to answer the questions and write their cover letter. We have obviously no problem with that, but please make sure you edit it. It's really, really obvious when you don't. Hire you. So we need it to be your voice. We need it to be your wording. We need to be you pulling out the really, really important things that you think are key to you, and so that your passion to come and work for us really leaps out the page at us, so that then you can set yourself up to win within the interview, because you will be able to let that passion come through within that interview process and the assessment centre moving forward.
Passion seems to be a common thread throughout this webinar, doesn't it? With with what Jess was saying previously, and how everybody here just you're so passionate about not just McLaren but the industry and everything else that you're doing on a day-to-day. And I kind of just want to jump forward a little bit, Georgina, and come back to you, if that's okay. So just the first couple of weeks, for example, at McLaren, what should students be expecting?
Yes, so I think even from sort of when you're told you've been successful, so you get a lot of support all the way through. So like I said earlier, you get, put in a group, things like that. So you're all going through this journey together. Even before you start, about 2-3 weeks, my line manager got in touch with me. So I've asked those questions like, do you know how to get here? All those little worries. Best advice of wearing trainers, not heels, which is
good shout, top tip.
Yeah, definitely. And then, as everyone sort of touched on, it is very fast paced here. You are given time definitely to settle in and you nurtured, but you've also pushed like your boundary a little bit, and you're given tasks that you'd probably think, oh God, can I do it? And then you do it and you achieve it, and you're nurtured along the whole way. So you never push too far out your comfort zone to the point where it's scary. But you are always kind of pushed for that next level of development, and your manager and the rest of the team has nurtured me quite a lot through these. And there have been times already where I've made mistakes and it hasn't been a big thing. It's everything can be fixed, and there's been a lot of support with that. So I just think the culture around has been very push yourself, challenge yourself, and we will support you in every step that you do that.
Brilliant, perfect. Thank you very much for that, Georgina. And I can't believe how quickly this hour's gone. It's been crazy. But thank you everybody for joining us today on this amazing webinar. Don't forget, I keep mentioning the opportunities are currently live on the McLaren Hub on Gradcracker. So go and get your applications in. The 15th of November will be here before we know it. And also don't forget that we will put this recording on the McLaren Hub in the next couple of hours, and we'll also break it down into bite-sized chunks with all the hints and tips that everybody's given, and they should be live by close of play tomorrow, which is Friday the 1st of November. So thanks for that, Karen. Ooh, that was a bit Halloweeny, was that look? Ooh. And I am taking a break next week. I'm going to be on the other side of things, and Jess and Soph will be joined by the RAF. And so don't forget to join the call next week, Thursday the 7th of November at 2 p.m. But for now, thank you very much, everybody. Safe journey home, Mitchell, when you arrive back in the UK eventually, and we'll see you all again soon. Thank you very much, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. See you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.